Welcome back. We have opened the small shield here by solving the symbols on this device. I wonder what the other one's for then. Okay. Well, that's actually kind of to be expected. Turns the device off, turns the shield back on. And can we do something with this? This is powered now. It wasn't before. Now we can put symbols here too. But we don't know what you're supposed to put here. What would the fourth symbol be? I mean, there were only 3 ages, only 3 symbols to find, and only 3 phrases. No, wait, that's not right. There were 4 phrases. Balanced systems stimulate civilizations. That has to be the 4th symbol. I suppose that's the idea behind the puzzle. Sirius and Akanar would come here. They would know the full symbols. They didn't have the partial ones that we had, but they had the complete ones. So they could just enter that in there and open the small shield and realize, okay, that's how you open the shield, by putting in the symbols. But then they wouldn't know what the 4th one is, but then they'd see the tapestries, be able to translate the 3 phrases that they have, and realize they match up to these age-building mantras that Atrus presumably had taught them before. And they would presumably also know the 4th mantra, Balanced Systems Stimulate Civilizations, and be able to form it themselves to make the 4th symbol. Saavedro, on the other hand, probably didn't know these mantras. So while he got the complete first 3 symbols, he was never able to deduce what the 4th symbol was because he didn't know the phrase. And I've got to say, it's incredibly lucky that Atrus happens to have given us a journal that contains these phrases, because otherwise we would never have gotten this far. Let's see if we can make balanced systems stimulate civilizations. Well, civilizations here. But none of the others are. Well, that sucks. Were they on there? Well, so much for opening the 4th symbol. But again, maybe the idea is that we go back to Saavedro and tell him that, because Saavedro probably knows his own writing system. If he can remember it. I mean, he managed to remember how to write in English, which I assume Atrus taught him, so I suppose he can remember his own language as well. But Saavedro has locked himself in the tower, so that's kind of hopeless. But there seems to be a ladder out there, so maybe there's something else we can do here. You can actually see the crystal that generates the small shields in the floor here. It's glowing now. But when we switch the switch, the shield turns off and the crystal is no longer glowing. I assume that glowing is their natural state. That you probably have to apply a current or something to disable the crystals. Where they get their energy from, otherwise I don't know. But if it was as simple a matter as cutting the power to turn the shield off, then Saavedro would have been able to find a way to do that. Besides which, we needed to turn the power on to get these things working. So I think you probably have to do something active to turn these crystals off, and their default state is generating the harmonics that create the ice. Looks like we can go into the gondola. We're definitely not going anywhere. See more clearly here, the dead tree. I'm afraid that Saavedro is right. Doesn't look like anybody survived outside of the shield. That would drive a man insane, being locked inside this shield with your dead family and friends outside. Can't say I blame him. Now we can look inside from here. That's pointless, but it's possible. This wall, this dividing wall, and the gondola seem to be made of the same material. Let's see what's down here. A linking book, which we can take with us. A linking book to Tamana. This linking book must have been put here by Saavedro. After all, Narayan was written long ago, while Atrus still lived on Myst with his sons, and Tamana wasn't even built yet, so this can't be a linking book that Atrus left here. Come to think of it, this is probably a linking book that Saavedro used to get to Tamana, although there is a minor plot hole there, since it links to the sunroom and not to the study, and Saavedro linked into the study. But there's no other book that he could have used, that we know of anyway. It makes the most sense that he took the Jinan book from here, used this book to link to Tamana, and thus starting the events of this game. But that does seem to conflict with the fact that he said that we were stuck here. While obviously he must have known about this book since he left it here. Because there's, like I said, there's no way that this is a book that was already here. Because Atrus never revisited this age, that's the whole point. Now, what I think is the case here is that Saavedro was simply not expecting us to be able to solve the puzzle to open the small ice shield. Because after all, he never gave us the full symbols. And he didn't think that we would know the phrases. So as far as he was concerned, we couldn't actually solve that and get to this book. He also said that if we found the way out of here, we'd have to be careful about using it. Implying that he would follow us. But surely there's no harm in trying. Maybe we can get Atrus, link back to Jinan, and link back to Narayan from there, and just get Atrus to explain the whole thing. Sounds like a good idea to me. Actually, you know what, you're right. Let's not. Probably not such a good idea. I don't think Saavedro would listen to reason. Let's see what else is here. More tapestries. And a pool, which looks nice, but otherwise serves no purpose, except maybe if we want to wash our hands. Let's see what symbols we have here. Resurrect, weave, momentum, balance, static, exist, rebirth, control, resilience, flow, elevate, survival, sacrifice, time, believe, tradition, system, remember, constraint, inhibit, nurture, honor, sustain, ethereal, creativity, stimulate, form, question, discover, and explore. And if you've been paying attention, we've seen the symbols we need. There's stimulate, there's system, there is system, And there's balance. So we can make balanced systems, stimulate, and civilization was upstairs. So the idea was that Cirrus and Akanar would solve the puzzle for the small ice shield first, and only then be able to get the symbols to open the big shield. Well, I suppose we must try and do that, since there's nothing else we can do. And who knows, maybe Saavedro will like being able to get to his dead friends again. At least he can get some closure that way, I suppose. And he's no longer trapped here. Okay. The last symbols then. Hopefully whatever this accomplishes is enough to convince Saavedro to give us the book back. So that's balanced. Systems. Stimulate. And civilization. And it works. We've done it! That tree looks suspiciously not dead.
Oh my god. They're alive? How did you... Force. Gives me hope. Destroy me. You see, I still have something that he wants. Something that he sent you to bring back for him. Release you. Drop the outer barrier when I'm out by the gondola. Switch the shield so the outer barrier is open. And in return, I'll give up release you. Do it.
So, it seems Orion civilization is not as dead as we thought, or Saavedro thought. There is a new tree, and it is very much alive. But unfortunately for Saavedro, he has stumbled upon a multiplayer puzzle. It's not possible to open both shields at the same time. Which is difficult for him, so he needs our help to open the outer shield for him. And then he'll give us back Relishon. I suppose we could do what he says. Or maybe, I mean, I'm sure he means well, but he has gone kind of mad from 20 years of isolation. I'm not sure if he is really inclined to keep his word. Maybe we should just go and talk things over. Or maybe we can force him to give Relisham back first. Because we have a way to restore both shields. And then he'll be trapped there. And then he'll have to negotiate. Well, I suppose this is as good a time as any to lose your mind. Good big no, though. 9 out of 10. Better than Cirrus. But we did it. We've trapped him there, so I suppose we can go and get Atrus, give him the good news. Wait. I'm forgetting the Relisham book. Damn it. Let's see if Saavedro is more inclined to negotiate in this condition.
Oh, God. No. Please, don't do this to me. Not when my family could still be alive out there. You want the book? Here. I'll give you the book. Just... please. Please. Don't do this. Can't do this again. Please don't leave me trapped here like this. I can't. No! 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 No!
I do feel for him. We did it! We got the Relisham book back. Which we can't open. Because it's locked. Well, I guess we got what we needed, so... we can go back. But... does Saavedro really deserve that? No. He doesn't. After all we've seen, after all we know that Cirrus and Achenar did to him, despite this stupid revenge plot, he does not deserve to be left here like this. We should go and release him. Actually, he's probably not in such a good mood, so I don't think I want to be in the same room as him. So let's switch the selector first, so the outer shield opens instead. Fare you well, Saavedro. I hope you find your friends and family. I hope they're still alive. And speaking of friends and family, I think it's time we bring Atrus back, his Relishan book, and let him know all that has transpired here, because unfortunately there is no way for us to follow Saavedro unless we want to climb over the Gondola cable and explore Narayan further, which is a shame, because that would have been nice. But I'm sure Atrus is very anxious to know what happened, so we should not keep him waiting any longer.
By the Maker, you've returned. Atrus, come quick! The fire burned the linking book you used. We had no way of following the...
You've returned. But where's Relishan? Did you bring back the book? Thank the Maker. It's fine. We're in your debt, my friend. If this book had been destroyed, everything we worked for, all the people of Relishan, would have been lost to us forever.
You must tell us everything.
At last I can rejoice, for Relishan has been returned to me unharmed. The age I hoped would provide a new beginning still lives on. I'm sure that no danger shall befall it. And as I sit here writing in this journal, I rejoice to know that Narayan too is safe. The secrets of its past have been unlocked, and old wrongs have finally been righted. I know now that we can't escape the past, nor can we rewrite it, hoping to lessen our pain. The best we can hope for is to continue to learn, to take from the past only that which is good, and move on. Perhaps in the process, we will build a brighter future.
And that is the end of Myst III Exile. Both Atrus and Saavedro have been reunited with their people, and all is well. For now, anyway, because you know Atrus' family will face some more trials in the remaining Myst games, which I have already covered. Myst III is almost universally liked by fans of the series, and for good reason. The game has a great atmosphere, a decent story, a well-written and sympathetic protagonist, stunning visuals, a beautiful soundtrack by Jack Wall, good acting, and for the most part fairly reasonable puzzles. However, while I definitely like this game a lot, for me it is not my favorite game in the series. What it lacks most of all is the depth, the life, and the cohesiveness of Riven and Uru. While we get some history of Saavedro and his people, the ages themselves are almost devoid of history. They're just lesson ages. They have no background, no civilizations, no past to uncover, which makes them far less interesting for me to explore. There are also some other minor points. I've already pointed out the sometimes confusing navigation. The graphics, while better than Riven from a technical perspective, do feel a bit more artificial than Riven's very naturalistic look. The puzzles of this game are often praised, but while I feel it was good to scale down the complexity from Riven, which was far too difficult for most people, I think that some of them are a bit too linear in this game. They also tend to look much harder than they actually are. For example, the frequency rings in Amateria and the electromagnet in Voltaic are some of the easiest puzzles in the game, but their visual and interaction design obscures their simplicity, which is not really a good method to make a puzzle more challenging, in my opinion. It's also a bit of a cop-out that where Cyan went through so much trouble to try to integrate the puzzles in the environment in Riven, here the developers basically give themselves a free pass to have arbitrary puzzles by saying they are lesson ages. And finally, some of the puzzles really only work because it's a game. Particularly the puzzles in Adana that depend on plants and animals doing certain things predictably just wouldn't work if this were real life. And speaking of Adana, that entire ecosystem makes no sense if you really try to think about how it's supposed to fit together, or how plants which have these kind of properties would actually evolve. This is not as big an issue for me as it was in Myst IV, because the story doesn't actually depend on the bits that don't make sense in this game. These are, however, all minor complaints. The game still has very inventive, visually interesting ages, and Brad Dourif is probably the best actor in the Myst games besides John Keston, who played Gen in Riven. His performance, together with the writing, are very effective in making Saavedro both menacing and sympathetic at the same time, and by the end you really come to feel for him and his plight. All in all, Myst III is a very solid and very enjoyable game, even though it's not my favorite game in the series. And that takes us to the end of the game, and to the end of my final Myst Let's Play. I do hope you won't all unsubscribe now, though, because while there is no more Myst, there are still plenty of games left to play.